Today on Conversations That Convert, we're talking about why you lost that sale and what you can do about it. Let's get started.
Welcome to Conversations That Convert. Every week, we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes tackling relevant lead generation, marketing, and sales topics for remodelers, home improvement companies, and home builders. Conversations That Convert is brought to you by Builder Lead Converter, your perfect sales assistant. And now, here's Rick and Daiana.
Daiana, how you doing today?
Doing great, thank you. And how about you?
Well, I got my work clothes on. As you know, I just got done actually working on building the deck for one of my neighbors. It was fun to put the tool belt on. Again, it's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Minnesota. So we're here though not to talk about decking so much, talking about some sales, and we're going to get into why you lost that sale and what you can do about it. And before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that if you're live here today, make sure you type hi into the comments below. Let us know that you're here. And if you're watching the recorded version, have a question or comment, make sure that you put it in the comments section, and then we will give you credit on a future episode. So why you lost that sale and what to do about it. You know, Daiana, there's nothing more frustrating from a salesperson's perspective is when you work so hard with a lead, and then you get to the point where you think you're going to write them, going to sign the contract, and just poof, you lose the sale, whether they ghost you or they go with a different builder. But it's frustrating. And so what I've done is I've done a lot of analysis over the years and really looked at, why this happens, and then more importantly, what you can do to avoid it, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about that today.
Yeah, I'm curious, is there something we can do or we just lost it?
Absolutely, there's something we can do. And I think the first thing we need to look at is why. Why do builders and remodelers lose the sale? And what's unique about this industry is that our sales process it's quite I'm going to say intensive, but it's also elongated in that we will spend weeks, months. I know, some of my clients sometimes years, where we are on and off, working with a lead to convert them. So there's really three things that I have found that lead to a lost sale. And number one, I know you're going to talk about it a little bit, is trust. And when there's no trust, there is no sale. Now, here's what's interesting. Years ago, I worked in a program called with Design Basics called it's a woman-centric program, and it was all about the woman's role in the decision-making process as it related to housing. So purchasing a home, remodeling a home, anything like that. And so what we found is that trust is paramount. So speak to this a little bit, Daiana.
Yeah, I think for us it's more important to have a relationship with the constructor, the one we will work with, and then is the product. So meaning that if we have a good relationship, then we can speak about the product, and not vice versa. So it doesn't matter what you sell me if I don't have a good relationship with you. So that can be a good thing, and in the same time. We can skip some things because maybe the product will not be so good. But I don't know what's your idea. How are men dealing with that?
Well, it's not as important for a man to trust because we're all about getting a deal, right? So we're willing to take more of a risk to get a deal. But if you are working with a couple, and normally homeowners there's a husband and a wife, or at least a male and a female, what you're going to find is that she normally is the one that comes up with the idea to do the improvement or the new home. She is going to be usually the primary researcher, and she is also going to be the one that is going to decide who you're going to go with. And I think if you look at all consumer decisions, about 84% of consumer decisions, the primary person who's deciding is the woman. Housing is probably even higher than that. So trust is important. If you don't have trust, you're never going to get to the sale. So the next thing that we find is the fear of the unknown. And this is it's a complex process of where you are going to remodel somebody's home or build them a new home. And what I find is that if I lost a sale in the past, or if I have a client losing a sale, it's normally because the lead was afraid of the unknowns. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the third one is value perception is lacking. In other words, they just didn't see value for your services, and they felt that their money was worth more, or perhaps there was one of your competitors that was more in tune with what they were looking for. So those are the three reasons why we lose sales. So let's get into now a little bit more about what you can do about it. So obviously we talked about trust, and that's the first thing that we have to do is establish trust first. So from Daiana, from a woman's perspective, why why do you trust? And you're in the middle of a remodeling project right now. You were telling me they're starting next month, I think.
Yes, yes. So
Yes. Go ahead.
yeah,
Tell us why you trusted the person that you
that's a very good,
purchased from.
because first of all, maybe it's not rational, but he makes time to speak with me and explain me all the technical details, so I feel heard. And I feel important, that my opinion matters. And I notice that he takes that time to make sure that I understand everything that it's going to happen. And but I don't know if my opinion really matters, because I asked a few details and he said, yes, yes, we will do like that. But then he came again with his opinion, and like I'm the expert. So I feel heard, but am I really heard? So that's a that's a question. Or I have to trust that he knows what he's doing, and trust that he's doing the best he can. And so it's a mutual trust, but it's still there. Am I heard, or my opinion really matters, or or
Well, so let me summarize what you're saying. You asked a bunch of questions, he answered them,
yeah,
and then he came back with his professional opinion.
right,
Right.
yes,
So the person you did not choose didn't ask any questions, so you didn't
yeah,
feel heard and gave you their professional opinion, or maybe a lack thereof. They just said, "Hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this." And so I would say establishing trust is it's whoever you hired, that's exactly how you should do it. You ask great questions, you listen for the answer, you summarize, make the person feel heard, but at the same time, you're always going to come back with your professional opinion, because once we establish trust with our leads and our clients, they look at us. Now here, I want to give you a quick tip here. This is something you can do today. Is the tip is this: change your title. Don't be a salesperson, be an advisor. And if you think about it this way, when you have a trusted advisor, it's typically your doctor, maybe your attorney, a banker, an accountant, a financial planner. But these are advisors that you go to with questions, but you trust their personal opinion. So you want to be a remodeling advisor or a new home advisor. And so you're going to provide advice to these clients, which they are hopefully going to find valuable. And that's what's going to help you establish trust. So by simply just changing your name tag from salesperson to advisor, that's going to go a long way. But asking questions and then providing your professional opinion is definitely the process you want to use. So let's look at the next one, to what you can do about it from losing sales. Is, we talked about the fear of unknown. The fear of unknown comes from because your process is not defined. So one of the things that I put together every single time I would sit down with a lead on the first meeting is I would give them a process map. Now I see some builders putting these on your website. It's not necessary to put on your website. It's too much garbage. It usually never gets looked at. But when you're sitting down face to face with somebody, a process map simply says, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three, step four, step five. So what I'm doing is I am removing that fear of the unknown by telling them exactly what is going to happen from today's meeting all the way until the project is completed and they are happy homeowners because they have a new home or they have a remodeled home. So get yourself a process map. And as far as setting expectations, it is so important is that if you do not set expectations as the builder, the client's going to set them for you. And a lot of expectations that we come into, we think about quality control expectations. So I was a warranty manager for many years, and so we talked about one thing with concrete as an example. We talked about, well, we guarantee the concrete will get hard and it will crack. That was our guarantee. Of course, it was tongue in cheek and we laughed about it. But if I didn't set expectations that your concrete was going to crack, every time concrete cracked, we would get a warranty request. Hey, come fix my concrete. We're like, well, no, this is normal. Concrete cracks. It's not going to kill anything. But we're the ones that had to set the expectations. If we set the expectations, the customer was happy. If we didn't, the customer was unhappy because we weren't going to fix every concrete crack. That's another step is to each step is to define it and then set expectations. And then the third thing you can do is, of course, is establishing value. When I say establishing value, the first thing I think of is that you want to exceed their expectations with your client. So going back to defining your process and setting expectations, if they are expecting to hear back from you in one business day, you get back to them in 4 hours. So in other words, you tell them, hey, when you communicate with me, I will respond in such and such a time. Beat that. If you tell them that you're going to get a price to them in 2 weeks, get it to them in 7 days, in a week or in a week and a half. So in other words, you set the expectations, you then exceed those, and they are, of course, are delighted. Now, the other thing as far as establishing value, and this is a formula that I've used forever, there is a formula for why value is, well, let's put it this way. Value is in the eye of the beholder, but there is a formula to it. And it simply is this, is value equals price performance divided by quality perception. Now, I could talk for a long time on this, so I'm going to give you the very abbreviated definition of this. Dollar store. Everything you go into the dollar store, everything is a dollar. You walk down the aisle and you look at some things and you say, you know what? I wouldn't pay 50 cents for that. Okay. So value was not established. Now you look at other items and you say, wow, I think that's worth more than a dollar. So the value is established. So price performance is the money that you have divided by quality perception. My perception on is what you're offering me equal to or worth more than the money that I am exchanging. So I always look at it this way, is that when you're selling something and you say, hey, look, we can redo your bathroom, it's 50 grand. Think of the client, your lead, having a pile of cash, $50,000 sitting on the table, and you're going to give them a contract with specifications and say, this is what we're going to do. They're essentially exchanging that. So when they feel that your offer is equal to the amount of money that they're going to pay, or perhaps worth more than, value is established. So a couple of things that we need to look at this is that men often get confused of quality perception is that we think sticks and bricks. We think the finished product, the fit and finish, the brand names, the materials we're using. While those are important, they are not the most important. So what you want to start off with is quality perception is really based on customer service. It starts with when you get that lead, how you respond to that lead, how much you follow up with, how much time you take to educate your lead, being a quote unquote advisor to them, your responsiveness. Again, your thoroughness, as you talked about, Daiana. Something that we're going to talk about here later this fall is what's called the unique selling proposition. That's a big one. In other words, what are your onlys? What do you do different or better than all of your competitors? And then finally, being relatable. When people come to you, they have to feel like you are the best person to solve their problem because you have solved the same problem for other people that are similar to them. So Daiana, your remodeling project consists of a roof and I think finishing your attic. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And tell me, one of your neighbors, right across the street or something, was having their roof fixed, right?
Yes, that's true. So I was able to see the final product and
it's relatable.
Yes.
Right. It's relatable. So you can say, hey, look, if they can do it for this neighbor, they can do it for me. So you've got to be relatable. And that's why telling stories, client testimonials, case studies is so important to have on your website to be relatable. So establish trust, define your process, set expectations, and establish value. And we're going to get more into all these in different episodes because establishing value is really one of my favorites, and it's a game to me, but it all comes down to your lead source. Where did the lead come from? How much they know about you? How long have you had a relationship with them? Value is tied into all of those. All right. So for those of you walking away here from today, take our 30-day lead and booking challenge and start selling an extra 1 to 3 jobs every month without lifting a finger. You can try it for free for 30 days, and you will be amazed at what we can do for you. So, Diana, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we will talk about how to get positive online reviews posted and keep negative reviews offline or
Ooh,
away.
that's a big one. That's a juicy one. That may be broken into a two-parter.
Yeah, do you
Uh,
delete them or what do you do?
Oh yeah, there's lots of tips to that, and this is something that again we're doing a lot of right now because builders are so busy and they are really susceptible to getting negative online reviews, which is going to haunt you for years. So we want to make sure we get positive ones posted and keep the negative ones offline. So until next time, for my brothers and sisters in Christ, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Here, bye bye.